Hi, everyone. So sorry about that. It seems like I'm having some technical difficulties this evening, streaming to my multiple platforms. I'm not sure what's going on. It's just giving me error messages left and right. Bear with me just a second here. Okay. Looks like that's working. That's working. Save changes. Okay. So, unfortunately, if you're not able to see me on Facebook, I apologize. I'm gonna have to just throw this up to Facebook after I get done with this stream, but I am on YouTube. So we are going to talk about tonight the case of Ricky Lamb. Now, Ricky Lamb is a gentleman. He's a resident of Lexington, North Carolina, even though on his booking records it shows he's a resident of Salisbury, North Carolina. But he is a gentleman that has got charges in three different counties: Randolph County, Guilford County, which is the county I'm in, and Davidson County. Um, and he is charged with first degree murder in both Davidson and Guilford County. Guy's been kind of busy, let me tell you. So let's get into some of the photographs. So this is Find David Lamb here. Let me throw him up there. Doo, 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 doo. Now, this is not the best representation of David Lamb, but this is him. Ta-da! That is a booking photo. So David Lamb is 41 years old. He is a resident of Lexington, North Carolina, which I don't know how valid, how up to date that is. Um, but to talk about him, on this channel, we talk about true crime. Some of it's local, a lot of it's more local to me. Some of it's out of state, some of it is international, but we talk about everything here. And just keep an eye on the story. The story's kind of crazy. So he is facing first degree murder charges in connection with the 2024 disappearance and deaths of two women in the Triad region being, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, trying to think where else, Jamestown, High Point, that's kind of the triad. So, mm, and they are Amber Marie Schimmelfinning, which I'm sure I'm butchering her name, and Nancy Bunley. So we've got a picture of them as well. Let me pull that up. There we go. So, there you have it. So we have Ricky Lamb, better picture of him, Nancy Bunley, which I believe is victim number 1, and Amber Schimmelfinning, which I hope to God I'm saying her name right, who is victim number 2. Now, these ladies had the unfortunate luck of being in romantic relationships with Ricky Lamb. So we will start with, let's see. So yeah, so basically what I'm saying is Amber Marie Schimmelfinning is the death in Guilford County, and Nancy Bunley is in Davidson County, which is also Lexington, North Carolina. Both cases involve allegations of intimate partner violence and concealment of deaths and potential involvement from Lamb's family and acquaintances, which we'll get to that. The incidents occurred within weeks of each other in September of 2024, and Lamb was already in custody for Schimmelpenning's case when charged in Bunley's. Like I said, busy guy. No bodies have been recovered in Bunley's case, but Schimmelpenning's remains were found weeks after her disappearance in October. So, um, weeks after her disappearance. And as of October 7th of this year, so that would have been yesterday, Lamb remains in custody without bond with ongoing investigations and recent indictments. These cases have drawn attention for their familial ties to the victims and alleged cover ups. So let's start with Amber Marie Schimmelfinning. So Amber Schimmelfinning is a 36-year-old mother of 3, including a teenage son. She disappeared on September 9th, 2024, so she's been gone for over a year, from her home in Greensboro. Now, she had known Ricky Lamb through mutual acquaintances and had briefly introduced him to her social circle. Now, this goes to show, guys, be careful who you introduce to people. Let me say that. So, court documents later revealed a history of tension. In April of this year, post disappearance, Lamb was charged with misdemeanor child abuse and assault after allegedly slapping Schimmelpenning's teenage son in the face during a dispute. Now, Schimmelpenning reportedly cut off contact with Lamb following the incident, after which he made threatening phone calls to her. Now, Guilford County Sheriff's Office deputies discovered a crime scene shortly after her disappearance, though her body was not immediately located. On September 14th, 2024, Lamb was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, concealing/failing to report a death, and possession of a firearm by a felon. Now, additional details emerge about Lamb firing a gun within town limits, which I believe is the charge he is facing in Randolph County, and that he has charges pending on that. Now, Schimmelpenning's remains were recovered approximately 11 days later, around September 25th, 2024, though the exact location has not publicly been disclosed. Now, in late September of this year, Leslie Andrew Green, known as Andy, a longtime acquaintance of Schimmelpenning's, they had visited his Winston-Salem home multiple times over the last 4 or 5 years, was arrested on charges related to helping Lamb dispose of her body and her car. Let me show you this guy. This wonderful, wonderful person. Let's see. There he is. That would be him right there, Andrew Green, Leslie Andrew Green, known as Andy. So, yeah, he's being accused of disposing of her vehicle and hide her body on his property. This sounds very much like the TK Burton case, a guy in Winston that went missing in July of last year, and his body was also found, weirdly enough, in September of last year on a property in Randolph County, which I believe it was Archdale, and they've arrested 4 people for his case, 1 with murder and the other 3 with accessory after the fact, and Andy here is being charged with accessory after the fact. So, Green, who briefly employed Lamb, so that's how they know each other, was taken into custody in Forsyth County, but is held in Guilford County Detention Center on a $200,000 bond. Prosecutors confirmed at least 3 total arrests in the case, with 2 involving people known to the family. Now, Amber's father has spoken out. Darwin Schimmelfinning described the ordeal as an emotional roller coaster and expressed shock at Green's involvement. He's like, "You can't even trust the people you think you are friends with." I mean, that's valid. Amber introduced Ricky to Andy, and what were you thinking? The family learned of Green's arrest independently by checking jail rosters after vague prosecutor updates, which that doesn't surprise me. Right now, Lamb's next court date in Guilford County is pending. The case has strong local ties to Greensboro and remains under investigation by the Guilford County Sheriff's Office. Good luck on that. Nancy Bunley. Now, this poor woman, she is the middle picture here. She's a mother and a Lexington resident, and West was last seen alive on September 22nd, 2024. So, are you noticing the dates here? Both these victims overlap each other. Anyway, she was last seen on the 22nd of September of last year at her home where she lived with her boyfriend, Ricky Lamb. Hmm. The father of their young daughter, Ariel, born shortly before her disappearance. Bunley was reported missing by family the next day on September 23rd, 2024. Unlike Schimmelpfennig's case, no body has been recovered. But evidence from physical and digital sources and interviews led authorities to conclude that Lamb has killed her. So Amber, they have found, but Nancy, they have not found, and they're assuming she is dead. So on September 29th, 2024, Lamb was charged with first degree murder, concealment of an unnatural death, also called concealing of a body, and conspiracy to conceal a death. Now, this is in Davidson County. Now, I cannot pull up any documents for Davidson County right now because they are not live on the e-court system, which they go live on Monday. So I should have updates on that. So, yeah, so right now, bills of indictment were issued in late September of this year, formalizing the charges, and if convicted, Lamb could face life imprisonment without parole or the death penalty, which I think he deserves it because we've got 2 women, both mothers, both romantically involved with this guy, and he is suspected in killing both. Not only did he take out 2 very young women, but he's now left several children here without their mother. So, search warrants were executed at the Lamb family properties in Salisbury, which is where all his arresting documents, they show that's where he was living, which is in Rowan County near Davidson, yielding evidence of obstruction. Now, in December of 2024, 3 of Lamb's I can talk today. 3 of Lamb's relatives, Van Lee Lamb, 51, Vin Chem Lamb, 49, and Jonathan Lamb, 30, were arrested for obstruction of justice and Bunley's disappearance. And they were later indicted, which was a few weeks ago, on felony charges of accessory after the fact and to the first degree murder charge. And these people look like this. See. That is them. Van Lam, Vincent Lam, and Jonathan Lamb have all been charged with accessory after the fact for the first degree murder charge in Nancy Bunley's case. So the relatives appeared in Davidson County Court on October 1st on these upgraded charges. Now, Bunley's mother, I cannot say her name, Savyoth Kong, and cousin Davy Song Koi expressed devastation. It's the most stressful and heartbreaking year. We had a small hope she was being held against her will somewhere and could be rescued, which I can understand that. And they emphasized the shock of the murder confirmation and hope for Bunley's remains to be found. Song Koi also honored both victims during court proceedings. So the investigation is ongoing with no body recovery. Lamb's next court appearance in Davidson County was on the 6th, which was yesterday. So let's get into more of his background. So Lamb is originally from the Salisbury area, has a criminal history including prior felony convictions barring him from owning a firearm. He was in Guilford County custody for Schimmelfinning when charged in Bunley's case, leading to his transfer to Davidson County Jail. And during an October 2nd, 2025 court appearance, Lamb waived his right to counsel, requiring him to hire an attorney or self represent. He appeared subdued and keeping his head down, which probably explains that picture where his eyes are kind of closed and he's not paying attention to anything. So they've consolidated charges across the cases. So he's got first degree murder for both cases, for both victims, concealment of death, concealing a body in both, conspiracy to conceal a death in the Bunley case, felon in possession of a firearm, Schinnel Pinning case, and a misdemeanor child abuse and assault in the Schimmel Pinning case with her son. Pending is a discharging of a firearm in Randolph County. Now, the connection is both victims had romantic or close ties to Lamb. He was the boyfriend of Bunley and a contentious ex acquaintance to Schimmelfinning. The disappearances were just weeks apart in September of 2024, suggesting a pattern. No direct family involvement in Schimmelfinning's case, but Green's role mirrors the alleged cover up in Bunley's. It's all crazy. We've got multiple people involved on both sides. Now, um, he appeared in court in Davidson County for Bunley's charges. He was indicted in September in the Bunley case, and there's not been any major updates so far. Now, based on this, I have a little bit more on the family and the people involved that helped him out, but I've it basically be me repeating myself. So it looks like the next time he goes to court for anything is going to be in December. Now they are going for the death penalty. And he does have a former felony arrest in Connecticut from, like, years ago where he did time, which is why he's not allowed to have a in possession of a firearm. That's that original charge. Now, what gets me is he also had a charge of larceny and breaking and entering, was trying to steal a firearm. All this was, like, on the days, like, before any of this stuff happened with these women. I don't know. Like I said, he's been doing domestic violence and everything else, and I really believe that people who are prone to partner violence really should be locked up until they go through the court system because they are a risk to people. Simple as that. Now, if he is convicted of any of this, he faces life without parole or the death penalty in the first degree murder. His accomplices face 10 years. And I mean, this is, I think, I don't know if this case could have been completely preventable. 'Cause it just seems like he did some minor crap and then all of a sudden just exploded and just started killing people, and I would love to know why, you know, and why his family was protecting him because he's a dangerous individual, he really is. and needs to be dealt with accordingly. But that is the case of Ricky Lamb, and, we'll keep an eye on it, and like I said, in December is when he goes back in, Guilford County. So, I just hope they find Nancy Bunley because that poor thing, that poor woman, her family needs to know where she is. They need to be able to have some type of closure. He doesn't deserve to get away with this, her not ever being found. So, I hope he at least gives up where she is. So but this is Rebecca with Red True Crime. I'm gonna hop off here, but I wanted to get this one out and let you guys know, it is ongoing. This guy's going down for 2 murders, not just 1, but 2, because they can prosecute without a body. That is something that is happening more and more, where they're prosecuting without a body. So, there you go. There you have it. So, as I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe. Be careful who you introduce to your significant others because it could come back and bite you. It really could. So, be careful, everyone. Thank you for the time and subscribe, like, share, and comment. Bye.